And nowhere in the rug does one see black eroded. I get the impression that some of the wool is natural sheep wool, especially since the tips of the knots have been faded by sunlight. A rug this old would be, if it were black, dyed artificially with oak galls and stuff, iron filings and stuff like that would be eroded. But you don't see any erosion in this. And you see that it's been heavily worn. And here you see reciprocal out here and here. And the inner border has little grids, which we think of as tic-tac-toe. But some of them are long, and some of them are short. But that's all I have to say about that rug. It's probably mid-19th century.
And that's from Kyrgyzstan also.
Well, it's actually from Berkeley, but the person in Berkeley knew what I was talking about. It's also single wefted, which means Kyrgyzstan, because nowhere else that I know of is single weft possible, except in Kyrgyzstan. If it's single wefted, it's Kyrgyz. Anyway, thank you very much.
Dr. Sommer, did you want to say a few words about this critical piece?
You're right. This is what I call a curtain band. It's across the top. It has a bunch of stitchery, applique, and embroidery. It's obviously old. It's been reinforced on the plain end here. And you see a little bits of white. I don't know how to do this, but this is the work of a master. And you see the ends are very similar to a piece collected in 1901 by Dudin, who was in Central Asia at the time, collecting things for the Ethnographic Museum in St. Petersburg. Then it was called Leningrad, I think. Anyway, this is very similar to the pieces he collected. And I think we're seeing a piece that he might have collected.
So I'm curious about the curtain band at the top. I've seen those before, but not attached to a reed screen. Would this be the most common use of that type of textile?
Yes. Did you hear the question? Of the curtain band being commonly used.
So that is the most common use?
Yes.
On the top of the
I think so,
screen.
especially with the tassels.
With the
But that's
tassels.
one of the first things to go, as you can probably tell. Yes.
I have a question about cheese screens with so-called Kazakh design. Where are they made?
Well, they asked Claudia Antipina, who would know, what's the difference between Kyrgyz and Kazakh? And she was amazed that I would ask such a question. And a little later she said, well, they live there and we live here. And the distance was 150 miles. I think she thought of them as similar. We don't think of them as similar because they're two different names. And there's Kazakhstan and there's Kyrgyzstan, and that's different, but not in her mind.
So there are no cheese screens with Kazakh design made in Kyrgyzstan? No.
Well,
There must
it
be
goes back and
from-
forth. I think Kyrgyz and Kazakh are the same. At least in her mind they were. And I'm an outsider. So I think she's an outsider who's lived there for many years. And she would know.
Thank you.
Good. That's an important point. Very good question. I think I'm done now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sommer.